Joko Beck founded Ordinary Mind in 1995, along with the earlier of her Dharma heirs. Ordinary Mind obviously takes its name from the Ordinary Mind is the Way koan. It's number 19 in the Gateless Gate, the Mumon kan in Japanese, Wumen kan in Chinese. And in some ways it's a good hinge koan for how we understand the world, certainly how we understand our practice. In some ways it was perhaps a bit strange for Joko to take a very well-known koan as the title for the Zen school that she was founding. As you probably know, Joko didn't use koan, certainly not the traditional koan curriculum in any sense, with Ordinary Mind. Basically because she felt that life, as it is, presented us with far more immediate, far more gripping koans than working through the curriculum of Zen. My teacher, Barry, who worked with her for many years, spoke in one of his fairly recent Dharma talks about having a dream about Joko, and this is 20, 25 years later, having a dream about her and saying, Joko, I think it might be really good to reintroduce koans, not in the way that they have been done, but, in a slightly different way. And he says, and in this dream, Joko just looked at him, gave him a hard stare, and no. So, koans, life koans. I mean, again, as with so much in Zen, it's almost a false dichotomy because, okay, you can go onto Amazon and find the book with the answers to the koans of the Gateless Gate. Much good may it do you. But I feel that with all the koans, really the answers are our lives, the answers are our practice, whatever specific insight we think we've gained that relates to the content of the koan. And our truest answers to any koans emerge over years. Sometimes feel koans are a little bit like picking up a tick when you're out for a walk. It's kind of this itchy sore bit that you don't quite know what's going on. And maybe you scratch it and it gets red and inflamed. And then if you don't do anything about it, if you're a sheep, I don't know whether it does if you're a human, but if you're a sheep, certainly it travels to your brain and starts messing with your mind and your behaviour. And that really, a good koan is pretty much like that. It does things to you. It grabs hold of you. It doesn't let go. It changes your life. Which brings us back kind of full circle, because Ordinary Mind is the way, this koan of our school, a koan of our life. But what on earth is it about? Let's just read. Zhaozhu asked Nanquan, "What is the way?" Nanquan said, "Ordinary Mind is the way." Zhaozhu asked, "Should I turn myself towards it or not?" Nanquan said, "If you try to turn yourself towards it, you turn away from it." Zhaozhu asked, "How can I know the way if I don't turn towards it?" Nanquan said, "The way is not about knowing or not knowing. Knowing is delusion. Not knowing is blank. If you actually reach the way, you'll find it as vast and boundless as space. How can you talk about this in terms of right and wrong?" With these words, Xiaozhu had a sudden realization. So the editors, Wu Men's comment. Nan Quan could melt Xiaozhu's frozen doubts at once when Xiaozhu asked his questions. I doubt, though, Xiaozhu reached the point that Nan Quan did. He needed 30 more years of study. Wu Men's verse. Spring comes with its flowers, autumn with the moon, summer with breezes, winter with snow. When useless things don't hang in your mind, that is your best season. So, ordinary mind is the way. Yeah, but what do we mean by ordinary mind? In the Chinese and Japanese, it's 3 characters. 2 for ordinary, and then 1 for mind. And that in itself is interesting, because the first of these characters can mean even, level, ordinary, unremarkable in that sense. And the second one means lasting, always, eternal. And you can see here that there's an immediate invitation to go for the transcendental interpretation of this. Of course, it's the even, level mind that's always there, underneath and behind what I experience. I must search for it. And immediately the koans got us, and we're hooked. But unfortunately, we're hooked in the wrong direction. Because in actual fact, the meaning here, and I looked it up actually, and it's interesting, it's even the meaning as given in my huge Chinese Sanskrit dictionary, is not that. It is ordinary in the sense of usual, common. Eternal not in the sense of being elsewhere, or otherwise, or out of time, just in the sense of being always there. It's always with us. Okay, so if it really is meaning ordinary, it's always around, it's always here, it's just what's in front of us. What about the mind bit? Well, again, this is Shin as a translation of Chitta, which, although it does have specific technical meanings sometimes, we're talking several 2,500 years of Buddhist tradition through many different schools. The kind of broad meaning of Chitta, in the sense in which it's usually taken, is the whole of mind, everything to do with mind. And in fact, this is why we use the Chinese-Japanese character Shin to translate it, because it's heart-mind. Shin is both the physical organ of the heart, and in traditional Chinese thought and Japanese, this is the seat of consciousness. But it doesn't mean consciousness as an abstraction. It refers both to the physical organ, our embodiment, and to all aspects of thought. So if we think through to the skandhas, and as it says in our version of the Heart Sutra, but any other will tell you the same thing, sensing, perceiving, forming, thinking, all these activities, emotion, thought, none of these are excluded. All of these are included in the sense of Chitta, in the sense of Shin, this heart mind. It's embodied mind, but also the thinking mind. So we have the ordinary, always around, whole of mind. It's the opposite of some kind of rarefied abstraction of mind, or eternal consciousness or something. And so these 3 characters together make up ordinary mind. So actually, another way of saying it, just this. But literally meaning just this, not some mysterious reality behind this. Is the way. Of course, in one direction, that takes us off towards Taoism. We won't go there. We'll stick with the two quite ordinary uses of way in this sense, one of which is the way, a path, a journey, and the other is a way of doing. It's quite nice the way that works in English. We have a way of doing things, but that's actually not so different from the Japanese. The Zendo is the way of Zen. Flower arranging, Aikido, calligraphy, they're all dos, they're all ways of doing things. An activity, a way of being in the world, a way of carrying this out. So the way of Zen, in this sense, is ordinary mind. Nothing, but we say nothing special. Do we understand nothing special is actually nothing special? Can we cope with that as an idea? It's hard. We always want special, we always want... So this mind, this body mind, and as Barry says in various contexts, this is the good news and this is the bad news. This is the mind you have. How wonderful. But it's not new, it's not improved, it's not other. And if we borrow the kind of double negative which the Heart Sutra loves, it's not this. And this, of course, relates directly to what we've been talking about in terms of the identity of samsara and nirvana. Reality isn't out there and it's not in here. Reality is this experiencing. It's empty and it's not separate. Samsara not separate from nirvana. My seeing not separate from my hearing, not separate from my forming of concepts, not separate from my thinking. This. Just this, as we might go into. And if we're saying that reality is just this, well, let's think. There's a lot of traditional Buddhism will talk about pleasant and unpleasant experiences, pleasant and unpleasant sensations, pleasant and unpleasant mental states. And we can say the same about joy and pain. Joyous states, painful states, suffering, dukkha. What do we do with these? As soon as we say they're empty, and I know we've been here before, and we'll come here again. As soon as we say they're empty, the temptation is to say, that doesn't matter. It's empty. It's an illusion. I should rise above these things. Joy, suffering, pleasant, unpleasant, they're all the same, except they're not. If joy isn't joyous and if pain isn't painful, then they are not joy and pain. All that we're doing is retreating, numbing out. So if we're not going to retreat from them, we're not going to try and float above them, what are we going to do? We're going to realise they're empty. We're going to realise they're just this. The joy is just joy. The pain is just pain. And of course what we tend to do is we'll immediately rush off to thinking, interpretation and judging. And that's adding complication. It's not being just anymore. But actually, and this is again the good news and the bad news, our thoughts are empty. Our judgments too are empty. It's okay to say this hurts. It's okay to say I like this. And it's okay to say this is good and this is bad. Because in this specific sense, it is. The problem comes when we start to take these things as if they were not real in the sense of this experience, this here, now, our relationship, but real in the sense of being absolute, of being permanent, of being separate. When we move from saying, I've got a really strange feeling in my gut because I've just realised I really shouldn't have done that. Okay? And then we jump to, I'm such a bad person, or any other kind of abstraction, or the opposite way around. You really upset me because you're always doing. And you get the idea. As soon as we stop things being at the level at which they are, just themselves, and that's the same, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a sensation, whether it's a thought, whether it's a judgment, because these things are all empty and they're all part of this ordinary mind, this just as it is. So as soon as I start saying always, only, or I say not this is good, meaning this is good in this particular context, this is good, but in this is good in itself, this is absolute. Because the only absolute is just this. And this mind is always with us. This body-mind is us. This body-mind is always with us. But it's also always changing every moment. My thoughts are impermanent. My judgments are impermanent. Just as the itch in my nose is impermanent. Just as the pain in my knee is impermanent. Empty, impermanent. So can we hold all these things for the reality that they are and not try and, as we say, reify, make absolute, pretend that these things are so and have some different kind of reality? All this is our ordinary mind. And there's a reason, really good reason. Why? Koan says, if you try to turn yourself towards it, you turn away from it. And again, in the mystical interpretation of this is, oh yes, it's beyond concepts, it's beyond thinking. I turn towards it and it's gone, it's moved away. So it's like some kind of, I don't know, shy little woodland creature, this ordinary mind, which I can't actually ever pin down. I'm short-sighted when I'm looking for things. Helps if I've got my glasses. What if I can't find my glasses? Put my glasses on so I can find my glasses. They're not there. Can't see them anywhere. They're on my face. It's worse than that. It's looking for my eyes. Where are my eyes? I can't see them anywhere. No. It's what we are. It's what we do. Ordinary mind. Just this. Nothing special. Do we believe that? Can we believe that? If we're prepared to let our sensations, our thoughts, our judgments be just what they are, then they can teach us so much. And in actual fact, then we can, what Dogen's always ask us to do, investigate this thoroughly. I've talked before about what a valuable teacher anger can be. If I don't suppress it, if I don't throw it to you to hold for me, but if I hold it and just experience it in my body, in my muscles, in my bones, in my gut, and I feel these feelings, and I feel the arising thoughts, and I feel the arising emotion, which is all my heart mind. And I let it tell me about my life, or about the reality, because I've just stopped the story. I've stopped the story of it's your fault, or that is wrong, or whatever. And because reality is all relationship, yeah, maybe we need that talk. Maybe I need to go and take action. Or maybe I just need to sit. Who knows? My anger will help tell me. So this is reality. It's as real as it gets. But it's not separate. It's not permanent. Remember that. We'll do okay. And back to Barry's little idea about it's not a problem to have problems. Because problems are just problems in the sense that feelings are just feelings, thoughts are just thoughts, judgments are just judgments. They're not something we try and escape. We might try and change the world, change our attitudes, change whatever, but we're not trying to escape from them. We're letting them be exactly what they are and responding in whatever way, sitting on the cushion, jumping up and down, talking, whatever. The alternative to this is, and koans are tricksy, and they always invite us to go down the blind alley, jump down the rabbit hole. Go knock yourself out trying to find your ordinary mind. See how you get on. I've no idea whether Joko would have liked this talk or agreed with me in every particular. I often feel she'd have given me a good long hard stare, but whatever. This is ordinary mind. This is her inheritance, as it was her inheritance from Zhaozhou, Nanquan, and the rest. Ordinary mind is the way of Zen, our way. So let's enjoy our ordinary mind. Let's practice with our ordinary mind. Can't get away from it.